This is Nyla and Lily in Finley Junior High Podcasting Club, and today we are going to be interviewing our science teacher, Mr. Janosky.
What made you become a science teacher?
Well, I didn't always want to be a teacher. I ended up, when I went to school, I was a geology major. And when I came out, when I graduated, I tried to find a job in geology, and it's like, I needed a master's degree or a doctorate degree, and I wasn't ready to get that at the time. And so I was speaking to one of my professors, and he said, on our field trips, you always were able to explain things really clearly and to people that didn't really understand things. Did you ever think about being a teacher? It's like, no, I never really did, but I'm thinking about it now. So then I ended up getting a job at a high school with my geology degree, and I taught for a half a year at Oak Park River Forest High School, and I decided I really enjoyed that. So then I went back to school and got my teaching certificate.
Were there any sciences that inspired you even more to become a science teacher?
I would say that some of my geology professors, I had some really, really good geology professors in college that were excellent teachers. And sometimes when I'm designing lessons and stuff, I kind of think about them because they design lessons, some similar lessons. In junior high, I had some good science teachers also. In high school, I only took one science class in high school, which is kind of interesting that I ended up being a science major in college. But in hindsight, I probably should have taken more in high school, but I didn't.
What is a fun fact about you?
I think a lot of you probably know that I play the banjo, and so that's maybe not as fun, or a lot of people probably already know that. Not a lot of people know that I got to travel through Russia when I was in college. So that's pretty neat, especially with all the Russian information in the news. I have an interesting perspective since I was there back in the early 1980s.
What was your reason for going to Russia?
It was when I was in college. Some of my friends had the opportunity to go to Russia, and they said, hey, would you like to go to Russia too? And I said, I don't know. I never thought about that. So I called my mom and dad at home, and I said, I have a chance to go to Russia. What do you think? And my mom and dad said, go. If you can go, go. And so I went, and it was fascinating. I learned so much about the Russian country. Moscow. I went to Kiev in the Ukraine, and it was St. Petersburg, and then it was Leningrad. It was Leningrad when I was there, and now it's St. Petersburg again. So it's the same city, but it's changed names. Yeah.
What are the new discoveries that you found out in Russia?
When I went to Russia, well, first I didn't even know what Red Square was.
What is that?
It's where the central government is in Moscow. That's where the Kremlin is. That's like the Russian White House. That's where the leader of Russia is, and all the government buildings, kind of like Washington, D.C. is for the United States. The Kremlin is the Russian center of government, and Red Square is a big open area just outside the walls of the Kremlin. It's like a big staging area. That's where Lenin's tomb is, and St. Basil's Cathedral is right on the edge of Red Square. And that, if you look up Russian, you see what looks like a church or castle with all these different onion domes and stuff. That's St. Basil's Cathedral. It's right there on Red Square also.
It seems fascinating.
Yeah. And I said, I think if I wasn't teaching right now, I would maybe be doing something with beekeeping. That's another hobby of mine, and that I haven't been able to do in quite a few years. But maybe get back into beekeeping, or I know some communities are promoting beekeeping in their communities, and I would like to have the job of maybe helping people get started in beekeeping that want to.
The students in Finley Junior High, we know you're, like have you said before, you're really fascinated with bees. What's so special, or what interests you the most about bees?
I was a beekeeper. I started keeping bees when I was in junior high, when I was about your age. It was a 4-H project. Excuse me. And my dad helped me, and my grandma helped out with some money at first, and we bought a beehive, and I learned all about it. I went to the county fair with honey from my bees, and I would sell honey and to make money, and it's just they're fascinating to watch. When you have a beehive, every time you go into the backyard, you can watch the bees, and they're living there, and they're busy, and they're working. And the couple of years I didn't have a beehive, I totally missed it. It's like that part of the yard had died. There's nothing, no reason to walk over there because there's nothing there. But when that beehive is there every day, you'd walk over to watch the bees and see them working, and you don't even realize how much time you spend watching them until they're gone. And then it's like, oh God, I looked at those bees every day. I really miss them.
Bees are also a part of nature, and you have been, Mr. Janosky and Mr. Crayson have been on the outdoor ed trip, and we've heard that you go camping a lot. What is your reasoning for camping so much?
I guess I was lucky that my parents took me camping pretty regularly, and I remember as I got older, people would say, "Were you a Boy Scout? You seem to be able to, you can split wood and make fires, and you know how to fish and camp." I go, "No, I just learned from my parents." And when I went camping, my dad was in the Army. He was a paratrooper in the Army, jumped out of airplanes and was in the 82nd Airborne. So he learned a lot of these skills. And so then when we would go camping, he would teach me how to use a compass, how to split wood, how to build a fire, how to keep warm, how to make a campsite. So I just learned a lot of stuff from my parents in terms of camping.
Yeah, you're very interactive with your outside world instead of like technology.
I go camping a lot with my family, and it's I enjoy it. I like just getting away from like all like the people and the drama from school, because it's fun. Like you get to like explore, like see different like things that you've never seen before, like bugs and stuff and different trees.
What kept you here at Finley?
I would have to say two things. One are the teachers that I work with here at Finley. I've been here for 27 years, and I've worked with some amazing teachers. Finley Junior High seems to be a magnet for really, really good teachers. And the other thing is the students. I really do enjoy the students here at Finley Junior High and Chicago Ridge. I've taught in other schools, from Oak Park River Forest to Eisenhower High School, and it's just really nice. It's a nice balance of people that end up here in Chicago Ridge, which makes it really fun to teach here.
So since you're just talking about camping and like outdoor ed is kind of like a camping trip, what is your favorite memory on that trip?
Lots of good memories, but my favorite is definitely an easy one. The weather is always a big thing when you're camping. And so this one year in outdoor ed, the weather was absolutely perfect. It was probably in the low 70s, and it was sunny. It was a little bit cool, but sunny, and it was definitely warm enough. But then at night, in an opening in the trees, there was a comet that was traveling over at that time. So no matter how good the weather ever gets at outdoor ed, I always say, yeah, but was there a comet too? Because that was the coolest thing, is we had perfect weather and there was a comet going across the sky that you could see at night. It was perfect.
Yeah, outdoor ed was one of my favorite trips.
Well, where did you learn to play the banjo so well?
I was in 7th grade. And I got a banjo for Christmas from my parents. It was a kit. I built it, and I started taking lessons. I started teaching myself using Pete Seeger's How to Play the 5-String Banjo book, and I taught myself as much as I could. Then I started taking lessons, and just like you might take violin lessons or flute lessons or clarinet lessons, I took banjo lessons. And And then after that, I just found other people that enjoyed playing, and we teach each other. And Mr. Crayson and I get together and play sometimes too, and we teach each other songs and that. And it's just a lot of fun.
We learned a lot about you today. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking. It's always nice to be asked, things about
should we
you.
do the
So it's
outro?
very nice.